so glad we've got a nice day. Yesterday would have been terrible. It was cold and windy. And welcome to our new lecture theatre. This has just opened the past few days. As you can see, we're going through some renovations. And this is kind of an example of the kind of thing we're going to get. Let me introduce myself. I'm Garrett Upstill. I'm Deputy Head of School at the School of Business. Mark McGee, who's our Chief Executive Officer and our Executive Officer in our school, is here as well. And I've also, here we're joined by some students who are doing business. Adelaide Pung, Jennifer Cooper, Ethan Wiseman and Doug Phillips. There's advanced students in the business degree, and they're here to sort of answer some of the questions you might have which relate to student experience and ones I can't answer. Doug has to nick off to another meeting in a little while. He's a CDF student, so I'll take the opportunity of passing it to him in a little while, and then let him have a couple of minutes explaining about the CDF, and then we'll resume the presentation. So, coming to ADFA, why study business? We think we make a valuable contribution to this campus and what we're offering. The first thing, I guess, is that business is an important part of defence. It's how we go about getting things done. And in Australia, we're talking really about a big budget item. Defence is big business. $27 billion spent in 2012, 13th largest in the world. And of course, it's business is defence is a large organisation. It's one which is an important part of government, and it's a big purchaser. So there's a whole kind of set of dimensions in which academic study can help contribute and understand the processes involved. On one side, there's public policy that involves questions of economics and public management. There's a whole management of the budget, the revenue and expenditure. That brings in subjects like accounting and finance. There's a procurement, the DMO, the big Defence Material Organisation, spends over $10 billion a year in acquisition. So the associated processes there, the business law, accounting. There's the whole questions of managing and leading people. So clearly things like recruitment and training, retention. The whole question of these raise questions of human resource management and leadership, and these are courses we run as well. And then of course there's the whole project management side of things. How you manage large cost projects, large cost acquisition projects, say, which involve risks, involve important staging points, and involve actual management of complex processes. And there's the supply for operations, logistics and supply chain management. And finally, there's a whole management of the organisational behaviour and technology management. So there's a whole range of topics that can and should be covered in business. And who are we? We're part of UNSW Canberra, of course, and University of New South Wales is a group of 8 university. There's sort of a little bit of snobbishness when it comes to universities, and so the group of 8 are the ANU, Sydney, UNSW, Monash, Melbourne, Adelaide, Western Australia and Brisbane and Queensland. And they're the sort of leading research universities, and so we're part of that. In fact, the School of Business, we have a very close relationship with our sister organisation up in the Kensington campus, the Australian School of Business. They're the big sister. We're about 1/10 of the size, but we have a very productive relationship. And up there's the Australian Graduate School of Management, and that's the school that runs Australia's top-ranked MBA. What's more, University of New South Wales is regularly ranked highest among Australian universities for business studies. So you'd be entering an organisation and a university institution with a high reputation. And one measure of that is we're en route with our sister organisation, School of Business, to an international accreditation next year. So we're in the final stages of that. And increasingly that's the sort of regarded as an important measure of the quality of business school, that you have this AACSB accreditation after your organisational claims. AACSB is actually Association for the Advancement of Collegiate School of Business. Don't need to know it, but at least that's the kind of the letters are a sign of recognition and accreditation. And what goes with that is this commitment to continuous improvement in student learning, in improving our teaching and research, and improving the curriculum we run here. And we associate that with vibrant undergraduate and postgrad programs. So most of the talk will be about the undergrad program. We'll also talk about the postgrad and our research stuff as well. So the undergrad is restricted to ADF and other Defence Force students, and the business studies come up in the terms of in the context of a Bachelor of Business degree or a BA, a Bachelor of Arts degree with a business major. So what's our Bachelor of Business degree or Bachelor of Business program? It's a 3-year course, and in the first year you do 4 introductory business courses, and you also do 4 non-business courses. The second year you maintain a large part of it is in the business area, a combination of core and elective business courses, plus the opportunity to do some general education courses. And the third year you're picking up the rest of this degree. And one of the important things we've got about this Bachelor of Business program is an integrating core. So each year, first year, second year and third year, there's a core, a kind of unifying or integrating course which draws together the various elements from the different courses, as well as provides a kind of a spine, if you like, for the Bachelor of Business degree. This looks a bit complicated, and we can talk about this. So please go to the booth, or we can talk afterwards about the organisation of the Bachelor of Business. But essentially, this is the way it's set out. There's you can see there the integrating core I just talked about. They're the 3 courses which run through the degree. In the first year, you're looking at foundations of management. Then you're getting into the business data analysis, and then we have the capstone course in the third year. There are also other core courses. In the first year, you'll be expected to do accounting and finance, organisational behaviour and business economics. In the next year, you'll be doing business law, international business and leadership, and the third year, project management. So as you can see, just those core subjects alone will give you a rounded kind of basis and set of strengths in business management. But over here, there are also some electives, and so you have a choice there of developing various electives, choosing various electives in terms of such things as business ethics or information systems, human resource management, accounting, finance, and so on. In fact, there's also a very strong economic stream. And finally, there's the non-business courses, if you like, on the other side, where you, particularly in the first year, students are expected to be doing studies outside the business program. So there's an opportunity to sort of complement what you're doing in that and choose areas of interest. And after that, there's some free choice as well. I can't keep going. I'll pass across to Doug on the CDF. So we still talk about this a little bit. Bachelor of Business Level 1 courses. They're the ones we talked about: business economics, foundations of management, upper level courses, and you're choosing from a range. So there's there's a wide set of there's a flexibility in the choice that you have to complete your degree program. What are we trying to do with the BBuzz program? It's about enhancing business acumen among future leaders and managers in the defence organisation, and really building a strong foundation in communication and numeracy and problem solving capabilities. And so there's certainly an importance placed on these core business capabilities, but also you need to have a diversity of knowledge and skills which you can apply to the study, as well as there's value in having exposure to a range of outside business-related areas as well as the core. I talked about the integrating core, something we're quite proud of, and think it distinguishes this program. They're the core courses that run through the program and relate the business knowledge to the real world, about problem solving, analytical skills, general management skills, and there's a part of that is a keystone presentation in Year 3. In fact, this integrating core, it was run by, it was awarded a teaching and learning citation back in 2009. The third year actually also involves Admiral Shackleton, I believe, who co-runs the course with the convener and providing the kind of stimulus and oversight to the development presentations there. So, what do you need to get into the business course? There's some shown up there, the ATARs and the OPs. As you see, there's also reference there to there's the basic requirements to enter the BBuzz. There's also something called a Cdf program. So effectively, what we run is the BBuzz program, but also allow this other opportunity to do something called a Bachelor of Business Chief of Defence Force students. So there's a more demanding course, which has particular elements in it. As you can see, the ATAR there is higher. As I mentioned before, Doug, who's a CDF student, and so perhaps I could ask you, Doug, just to have a few words just to explain how it works.
G'day. All right, so the Chief of Defence Force program is, I guess you could sort of liken it to a condensed honours degree. So what you do is you undertake your normal undergraduate courses, but at the same time you do CDF subjects. So basically what they entail is you get the choice of doing a research project on whatever interests you. So for example, I'm doing it in human resource management, and you have complete latitude of what you want to study. From there, you get to select a supervisor. So I work one-on-one with a professor in human resource management, and we meet once a week, and we spend probably about between 1 and 2 hours one-on-one every week just speaking about my degree and my thesis. In addition to that, when you graduate from ADFA, not only do you get a business degree as a Chief of Defence Force student, so you get a business BBuzz CDF degree, but you also graduate from the academy as a distinguished graduate by completing the CDF program. At the moment, I'm working on finishing up my thesis, and the military is very flexible with the working hours that I have to complete my thesis. So at the moment, I have a lot of time to be able to sit down and really think about what I'm writing. And then the end state is that by the end of the year, I'll try and publish my thesis in a recognised journal before I graduate. So it's basically really just a degree where you get a lot of one-on-one time with a professor or a doctor in the business school, which is something that a lot of universities I don't believe offer. And at the end, you graduate with really a rewarding degree, and you're recognised for that on the military side as well. Was there any specific questions about that?
That's very good. Does anyone want to think that to leave in a moment? Does anyone want to have any questions about the CDF's program?
Are there any prerequisites for the Bachelor of Business? Like you have to do a particular level of maths or science or economics or anything?
No, nothing like that. The only requirement is the ENTER score, or the ADFA, I think it's called now. But then if you don't get 95, what you can do is, and what I did was, I transferred into the CDF program after my first semester. So if you don't get a high enough UAI after your first semester, if you had high enough marks, and I believe it's about a WAM, which is your average mark of around 85, so a HD average, then you can actually go into the Chief Defence Force program then.
Sorry, any other questions for Doug? Cool.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Doug. Cheers. Okay, so as you can see, there's an interesting option, as well as the basic or the business Bachelor of Business degree. The other way you can do some work in business is to a BA, a Bachelor of Arts with a business major. In this case, looking from the top down, you'd be doing, you pick a couple of 1 year, first year courses from the business program. And so you might do organisational behaviour and business economics, say, or accounting, introduction to accounting and finance. That's one way of sort of, if you're doing 8 courses per year, 2 of them would be in the business area. And then for later years, you also have to have an opportunity to pick up some extra courses. So there's 6 from the year 2 and year 3 courses listed there, and also in relation to year 3. So in other words, you are actually focusing your main study in the Bachelor of Arts area, but you're picking up as a major part of your program some business courses. Right, so that's the undergrad side of it. Now, when we finish, invite you questions on that, and I can call on my colleagues here, the students, to actually ask to pick up particular questions you might have. Let me just talk a little bit about the post-grad side of things as well, though, because that's an important part of our school. The post-grad is actually open to defence and to non-defence students, so whereas the ADF the BBuzz is restricted to members of the ADF and defence. And we have 3 degrees open there. One is the Master of Business, one's the Grad Dip Business, and the other is the Grad Cert Business. The flagship is the Master of Business. And we run this in 2 ways. We run it as intensive courses, which are run over 2.5 day weekends, and we also run it in an online mode, so you can actually do it via the internet. It's a 1 year full-time postgraduate coursework program. It's suitable for part-time study. It's quite a convenient. It's flexibly designed, as we said, for the online and for the intensive deliveries. An alternative is to do a graduate diploma, which is only six courses instead of the 8 courses for the MBuzz, and then you can articulate into the MBuzz. And another thing we offer is for people who don't have a degree is a graduate certificate, which, if you like, provides a pathway to the other courses. And in the Master of Business, we have certain core courses. Again, it's important to sort of, that the students are actually getting a solid grounding in these areas. One is strategic management, one's organisational behaviour, one's business law, and the other one is accounting and financial management. There's a range of electives available there, as you can see. So there's an opportunity to focus in particular areas in project management, in economic perspectives and leadership, in finance and investment appraisal, for example. Business ethics, logistics, innovation, And again, not worth talking through this, although we can answer questions if you like. You can pick this up from our booth. We run this in the form of core courses and then a set of electives. And we stress this point of importance of it being a flexible program that you can mix the intensive and the distance courses, and also intensive and also flexible in that you can spread it over a number of years. And finally, we have quite an active research program as well for higher degree research students. So this involves a number of people who come from overseas. I think about half of our people doing Master of Philosophy or PhDs are from overseas, and we're focusing on particular areas of research. One is institution building in fragile states. Another's leadership, public sector management. We've also got a specialisation in performance management in sport and society. And of course, one of the strengths of any university school is the quality of its research, and this is something we put a lot of emphasis on. For example, one of our professors, Professor Chan, is leading something leading a project in the relating to Papua New Guinea, where there's a major set of activities going on looking at land reform, and which in fact is involving high level participation of the PNG government, and it's just an example of the kind of high quality original work that's being done, which also, so if you like, feeds back to the teaching that's done at postgraduate, also undergraduate levels. Okay, so that's sort of a quick run through. As I said, we've got some experts here at undergraduate business programs to answer your questions, if any questions you might have, as well as the ones I'll try and answer them as best I can as well. So, questions please. Please.
How important do you reckon maths is when considering a business degree?
Ethan.
So I'm absolutely horrible at math. Like I still did calculus in high school and stuff, but I wouldn't say that's the cornerstone of everything. When we do economics and stuff like that, what we're trying to do is basically when you see things in the news, you need to understand how they affect your government and how your government's going to make decisions based on economics. So that's the way we structure it. So there's still maths. You still have to do that with business data analysis and the other classes that we do. But it's by no means challenging. If you can do year 12, you can do the business degree. It's fine. I wouldn't stress about it. Sweet.
Please.
Sorry, just to start, we may have covered this. The lecturers...
Do you want to say the same?
Do you share those between Sydney or the other campuses?
I'm sorry, the lecturers?
The lecturers and people that...
No, we're actually on campus here, so we're about 40, I think it's something like 40 staff that we've got. Let me just sit over here. Oh, sorry, yeah. So that's what we're like. We have 200 undergrad staff, some 260 postgrad students, some 40 recent HDRs, and about 40 academic staff members who are based here. But we sort of do have visits and so on with these guys. So by Adelaide and Jennifer as well up here. So any other questions people might have on studying business?
Apart from the ATAR, are there any other subjects during years 11, 12 you think might be an advantage to set you up, or is it really not that important in terms of coming into these schools?
Ellie or Jennifer?
My personal opinion is in the first session or first year in business, you're forced to do, well, you're not forced, you get the opportunity to do non-business electives, which include English and history and geography. They give you a really good, because it's a first year university, they give you really good foundation to be able to do any sort of writing, and then you apply that sort of writing into business. So as long as you're fine with your English at school, and if you have a business topic that you can do, but nothing will really give you an advantage because you get all of that in your base year here.
Thanks, Ellen.
Please, can you give us some idea as to how many hours of face-to-face teaching occurs in year one?
Well, you have 3 hour contact hours each subject on average. So you'll have 2 hours of lectures and a 1 hour tutorial. So in the lecture it'll be all in first year, and everyone does the same courses, so you'll have all 224 undergraduates with the lecturer at the front, and then in tutorials you normally have group sizes of about 8 to 10.
One thing with UNSW Canberra is, I believe a few years ago, I don't know if it's still the case now, but we had the lowest student to teacher ratio in the nation. And one of the nice things about going here is, like, I've had plenty of times where I can just call up my lecturer, send them an email, and they'll make an appointment for us to be able to come and talk to them about an essay or some type of assignment you're working with.
It's very convenient because we're living on campus, so you only have to walk a couple of 100 metres and you can meet up with your lecturer.
There's and about the essays and things like that, there's actually an all unit here. So if you're really worried about your ability to be able to write an essay, or if your essay won't be up to standard or the mark that you're looking for, there's actually extra help for that. So
what was it all stand for again?
The academic learning and
learning.
Literature.
Yeah.
I don't know. We just call it all unit. We go there, so it works out.
But I think strictly, I think the answer in exposure per course. Say expected to do 8 courses per year. I think it's something like 39 hours face to face, and the expectation is that each student will spend about 140 to 160 hours per course. That's that includes other contacts
But there's extra hours if you want it, and if you seek it out.
Yeah. So, thank you. Please.
What kind of roles would you see yourselves playing in the Defence Force once you graduate?
Well, Jennifer and I, we're Army, so we're both GSOs, which stands for General Service Officer. So after we go through RMC, that's where we find out what corps we go into, so what area, if it's intel or comms or whatever corps, it happens over at RMC. So your degree doesn't really count while you're at ADFA as what corps you go to, unless you're doing engineering, then it's more significant. But as officers, you're going to be a leader and a manager, so the business really sets you up for the managerial side of things.
For myself, I'm a maritime warfare officer, so my job is to drive warships. So it has basically nothing to do with business in the aspect of my immediate job. However, I'm also a divisional officer, so I'd be in charge of about 40 sailors. So a lot of the management positions here actually help me out a lot with being able to understand people like HR and all those other subjects that have to do with directly taking care of my people. Now, where this will really benefit me ultimately is being able to understand when I go to other countries and when I'm working with other countries, how they've structured their economics and how they've made their government policies and what they believe will help their country for themselves. You know what I mean? So a lot of our degree is based around being able to look at the news, understand what's going on, and being able to formulate an opinion and be able to address the situation.
I think also a good thing about the business degree is it doesn't teach you what to think, it teaches you how to think. Everything is based around problem solving. So when we go out into the real Army and Navy and Air Force and have troops, sailors, airmen under our command, we're already in that process of how to solve a problem or how to manage things. So I think that's also beneficial as well for it.
Just going off what Ethan said, in the Army, once you get out of RMC, you get straight away put into a troop command role. So you're going to be in charge of 40 men. So the management side, it really does help.
Thank you, please.
Do you get any time to have practical hands-on business experience? Like, do you get to manage a team like outside the university at all?
You do that in your military work. There's a lot of leadership-based teamwork stuff, particularly in first year. Everything is teamwork. You get assessed on your teamwork ability. Second year, you ramp up a little bit more leadership, and third year, it's just full-on leadership. So that's all the military side of things in terms of command and control. Business is really here to do the theoretical side of it, but military really gives you a good hands-on experience for that.
If you want to look at like the management side of things and being a manager, that'll be your entire career in the Defence Force. So.
Just on top of that, all of our sports and vehicles are self-run, so we have our own committees. So if you're president, you're in charge of, could be anywhere between 10 to 100 people. So that's the thing.
So in other universities, if you do business degree, you have the opportunity to do a work placement right in a business environment. So is this happening here too? Or not?
We don't do work placements at ADFA.
That means it's also theoretical things.
Well,
I think we were just saying the academic side doesn't involve the workplace, but you're saying given that people are going to be moving into the Defence Force, there's a lot of that practical experience there.
We wouldn't really do work placement because we're not training to be accountants here or training to be financial officers or anything like that. We're training here to be officers in the Defence Force with a business degree. So work placement for us would essentially be our military training anyway.
So just following question, if I ask, so how much freedom you have when you choose your career, let's say, because you are doing particular courses, right? So specialized courses. So is it would be taken into account when you place, how much freedom you have when you're choosing your place where you're going to work in the army?
Not really. I could be an infantry officer and I've done a business degree
so
if I wanted to.
So let's say you would be directed into a particular place and you go there and that's it.
You have preferences. So when you go through RMC, you'll put down 3 preferences, and about 80% of people get their first preference.
There's a pretty big difference between the Army and the other 2 services. With the Navy, I selected my job before I signed my contract, and that's the same with the Air Force. So I know what my job is, and no matter what, I'm going to be a maritime warfare officer. So with the Army, yeah.
With the Army, it's very open, but...
It's like a shotgun.
Yeah, Air Force... Yeah. Yeah, Air Force, they know if they're a pilot or if they're an engineer before they come in. Same with Navy.
Sorry, you would
Yeah, can you just explain, if you're doing your 30 hours face-to-face for the academic side, is that what you said?
I think 40, might be 40, 39.
Okay. When do you do the military? I'm not quite sure how that works, how you do the military service, or when is that in the holidays? Or?
My contact hours, I'll just give my week. My contact hours, I do 4 courses, very average business student, 4 courses. I have about 12 to 15 face-to-face contact hours, but then outside of those contact hours, I'm expected to do personal study in my room or at the library in regards to those courses. We also, on top of that, have military hours, which we do our military training, which is 2 days with 5-hour blocks. So about 10 hours during the week, plus every morning we'll do an hour of some sort of military thing. And then in your afternoons, at night time, you have your sports and beakers. So it's a pretty packed schedule, but it's definitely doable.
Could I just explain, clarify, because I realised I gave you a bum steer there. We're talking about how many hours. That 40 hours is actually spread over the semester, so over 13 weeks. So per course, you're doing 3 hours per course, per week. So you might be doing, how many hours?
That's why I have 12. So I have 4 courses,
study,
3 hours per course, 12 hours contact each week.
So I guess the way you could look at it is ADFA's paying you to be here. This is your job. So instead of working a part-time job in those 10 hours, you being, working wherever you'd be working, you're there to be at the military training, and that's your job. So that's basically the difference of working a part-time job and going to university.
Sorry, you had a question?
Is there a limited number of intake for business starting now in 2030? Next year?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, we at least in my job field, I could have done arts, science, or business. It was my decision. So.
Please, yep.
Sorry, just in your everyday life. So can you just run us through a day, like what time do you get up and what is expected of you?
Yambara Valley, which is wake-up time at 6 a.m, between which 6 and 7 you're expected to do cleaning, have breakfast, get your uniform on, make your bed, that sort of thing. Quite routine. You expect to be somewhere at your next lesson at 7, so you generally leave about 6:45 to be wherever you need to be. It could be anything from drill, PT, a brief, leadership course, anything like that. Any sort of military thing they'll do in the morning from 7 till 8. And then your academic day starts from 8 till 17:30. And that's just over the whole day. You'll just go to classes, study, personal admin, anything you need to do. Then from 2 days a week or whatever sport or week you're a part of, usually from 17:30 till 1900, you'll do training for that. It's only 2 days a week, not all 5 days. And then on weekends you'll have your sport match or anything like that.
So are you able to do a sport outside the Defence Force Academy?
ADFA funds for you to play sports, so unless you're representing at a state level, they won't let you go and play, or they discourage playing with other teams, civilian teams, because they provide you the funding here.
You can apply for it. It is a possibility, but most, in general, people don't.
Like we have a couple guys that play for the ACT representative ice hockey team, so
How does the recruitment side work from the UNSW? Because I know through the Army you have to do a U session assessment and officer selection board.
how does the university look at it? Do I just look at the ATAR or do they look at something else?
All you have to do is get a good ATAR.
So once the university looks at your ATAR and it's above it, then it's all up to the officer selection board and stuff to
Yep.
complete the
And you'll
process.
find that you'll actually get a letter saying you've been accepted into the UNSW at ADFA before you would even get a letter saying you could have gone to ANU or UC, because ADFA does the recruiting earlier. UNSW at ADFA does it earlier because we have to meet up with the military recruiting and make sure it all aligns.
Yeah, because I've got a UAC letter and I'm about to do my uni preferences soon. So if I put it in first, even before I get my view session or the assessment session, the letter might come in.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, that's all.
Thank you. Please. Yep.
Yeah, if you compete at like a national level, will they be like lenient with that?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just generally no one's really elite here in terms of sport. We have a couple and they are let off, but most of the time we're just here to play sport as a way of having something else to do as well.
The whole thing about it is they just don't want you to get injured. Like, they're here to take care of you and they're here to make sure that you're safe. So, and you also get free healthcare too. So if they're just breaking you and you're no longer good to the Defence Force, then that's the problem. But if you're competing at the national level, they're happy with that. It's just that they don't want you to go down the road to play gridiron and you've never even played gridiron before, and then you break your leg and there was just no point other than you thought it'd be a good idea. So.
Please, yeah.
The course breakdowns, yes, is that available to look at?
Yeah, sure. So that you do go over to the display hall where there's a School of Business table and so on, and you can pick up stuff. They're on there as well. Yeah. Please, yes.
Just how does that work with I'm just thinking of the logistics that they finish their HSC, they get their results in January. Don't you have to complete your 3 months initial military training before you can actually be accepted and start?
We don't have the 3 months initial military training here at ADFA. What we do is we come in at about the 20th of January. We have a 6-week, it's called YOFT, Year 1 familiarisation training. And then from that 6 weeks onward, we're just university students in the military, basically, and do our military training and university. So I think it might be a confusion with direct entry, where you do your 3 months, but we're not direct entry yet, so that's not a problem.
Right. Going for, we're just about out of time. Maybe make perhaps the last question. One more up here. Yeah. Sorry.
As a GSO, say with like your preferences like infantry officer, with the scale back of the infantry and like the withdrawal from Afghanistan, would that be more unlikely to get the preference? Would be more unlikely to get the preference?
Not necessarily. It just depends on your class that you go over with at RMC as to how much competition there is within your class. So some classes, half them might be going for infantry, so it's very competitive. There's only a certain number of spots, but other classes, hardly anyone goes for it, and you're guaranteed it pretty much.
Did you say you get 3 preferences?
Yes.
I think you get quite a lot. I think you get like 5 or 6, because you aren't guaranteed your first preference. And the way RMC allocate corps is they say, okay, they actually rank cadets. So you have, say, 150 in your class, and they'll say, okay, you're the top cadet because of everything, and then you're the bottom cadet. The top cadet will get their first preference, and so on and so forth. So basically, the reason why our degree isn't that relevant in terms of the coursework, but the core we're going to go into, is because they base it off how we perform at RMC. So,
and that's academically, but also they look at your personality and how you work in the field.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, are we? Sorry, we're pretty of time. Okay. Marg's running the show here. Marg, sorry, we're doing all right. So, where's the question? Sorry. Am I just about? Please, yeah.
I was just wondering with the post-grad course, with the defence and the non-defence sort of going through the same classes together.
In fact, they're kind of flavoured, if you like, by examples drawn from defence, but pretty much they're standard UNSW. It's the same course you'd be running up at ADFA again. Please, yes.
Sorry to the naval officer. Did you do the first year at Creswell, 6 months before, 6 months C, then to here?
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah. Is it? Pardon me?
It's different to the Army coming home straight in.
Yeah, I honestly like the No Year scheme. It was really, really good because we actually found a few people that honestly didn't like the Navy, and we got to try before we bought. Because before our commitment hit, we actually got to go out, see the Navy, see what it was. And during my first year, I got deployed to 3 different countries, and I got to drive a warship on my own as a 19-year-old. And yeah, it was an awesome experience. So,
Sorry, one more question.
Yeah.
If you weren't anyway, what else will the Bachelor of Business support?
Personally, for a Bachelor of Business, I see it beneficial in the managerial side because no matter what job I do as a seaman officer, or sorry, it's changed to maritime warfare officer, I'll be able to take care of my people. And that's my biggest concern, is being able to take care of people in a tough environment where people's lives are at stake. It's just the way it is. So.
Wow, thank you. As academics, you don't get to drive warships. So.
If you have any other questions.
Okay, yeah, the students are happy to stay a little bit longer if people have particular questions they want to raise with them. But thank you very much for this, and hope you enjoy the rest of the day.